WPIAL Podcast, Trib Live High School Sports Network, winding down the 2025 high school football season. And our little get-together here, as has been the case during the entire postseason, is presented by Edgar Snyder and Associates. Go local, go with Edgar, helping folks since 1982 at edgarsnyder.com. This is our final WPIAL Team of the Week. It is week 15. And I guess it's appropriate because if you had to pick a team of the year, it would be the Avonworth Antelopes and their outstanding head coach, a king of kings, if you will. Duke Johncour is kind enough to join us. He is the head coach of the Avonworth Antelopes. Duke, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was a magical season. Just enjoyable across all regards and all levels, you know.
Well, yeah, if you're not enjoying that, something's wrong, right?
That's what
it was a season of dominance that we can touch on. First things first, I want to ask you, and I was going to reach out earlier when I heard or saw, how's your back?
It was really bad for a while. Got better. Last couple of weeks, it's gotten a little bit worse, but I'm able to stand up for a whole game. So I stood up all Saturday. So it's not there yet. So still working through it.
So what happened?
It's just sciatica. I have a bulging disc.
Yeah.
And, I took the garbage down. That's why my cheeks are red. I took the garbage down the driveway. And, I told my daughter, I'm like, this thing is coming back as, not as bad as it was, but numbness in the legs and so forth. So not great, not ideal, but we're working through it.
Is it just rehab? Is it just rest? Is there there's not surgery we're talking about here?
No, I'm not at the surgery level yet. Everyone I've seen about it said, we want to avoid surgery at all costs. So I'm going to a chiropractor that kind of puts you on a table that stretches it. So nothing of like cracking or that at a chiropractor, but they stretch you out and, it's called decompression to try and give it space to alleviate that pressure on the nerve.
Well, the fact that you now, with football behind you, you don't have, I don't know. I mean, I don't know your life schedule, but will it help that you don't have to be on your feet, during practices and games and all that stuff?
Yeah, that'll help. Ironically, you say that I have a 9th grade basketball game tomorrow, so I'll be on the bench at Avonworth against Freeport at 3:30. So
use the old seatbelt rule.
That's it.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't usually stand during basketball games, so I'll be seated during that.
All right. You just go from one end to the other. Your time is in great demand. The one great thing, again, before we get into the nooks and crannies of this season and the championship over Northwestern Lehigh, there was a lot of talk about your father being part of this ride, this special ride, and he coached you back in your days. And I don't think I knew this before that you were the first quarterback at Woodland Hills. Did you graduate in 87 or did you graduate in 88?
No, I graduated in 88. So 87 was the first football season of Woodland Hills.
Okay.
And it was my senior year was the first year of Woodland Hills.
So you were up north in the fall of 88, because that was when I started at the radio station in McKeesport, and Woodland Hills was one of our big teams that we covered. Yeah, so I just missed you then. Yeah,
1 year. Yeah, we played McKeesport at our place in 87. They were good. We beat them at our place, but it was a great game. They were tough. So
it just talk about that the relationship. Obviously, it's different when you're a kid, and father-son relationships are different when you're a teenager as opposed to when you're an adult and your parents are older. But just talk about how things have changed or grown with you and Pops from back when the late 80s at Woodland Hills or before that Churchill, right?
Yep.
When he was coaching, and to where it is now upon the completion of this amazing season.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. I mean, he's been a great dad, a great father for my entire life, and he loves football. I mean, if you look at the film hours on Huddle, he's always at the top one or two coaches in terms of usage. Now he is retired, so that is his benefit, and
Yeah.
he loves the game, but he always comes with ideas and concepts and plays that he likes and what he wants to do, and doesn't want to miss anything. So it's been great to have him around. And, he was always dedicated to his craft. I would go to bed at night as a kid, listening to the 8mm film, forward and backwards.
Yes.
And, that was my white noise as a kid.
That's right.
It was him watching film on the projector with a little hand clicker.
I mean, those guys that coached back in that era, and that era was a lot better than when he was young, I'm sure. But those students of the games, those coaches that put all that film time in when it really was film, man, they would if they had the Huddle back then. It's really a blessing for you guys.
Oh yeah, I mean Huddle's huge. I mean, I remember going after church. We'd drive downtown into Oakland to pick up the canisters, the little canisters about the size of a 45 record, and they were just in those cases. And the smell, I can still have that smell of the chemicals that they use to develop them. Pretty vivid memory. So, and it's neat to see because he was my head coach through my junior year, and then we've developed a relationship. We've coached together for the better part of almost 20 some years here at Avonworth. He came with me in 2001 and only took 1 or 2 years off in the middle there, but he's been here all along. And then I was my son's head coach, Derek, and he's played at Grove City and then has had me as a coach. And now he's, calling plays with me on the sidelines. He's a teacher at Avonworth. And so, I mean, that relationship that I had with my dad, I'm seeing full circle with me and my son.
Yep. And fingers crossed, maybe someday your grandson will be we'll be playing for your son. But that's a ways away.
Yeah.
But that is an awesome story. And it's, again, people talk about the fabric of what makes high school football special, period, but especially in this neck of the woods in southwestern Pennsylvania. And it's stories like that really make it something special.
Yeah, it's been a special season. When we came here in 1999, my wife and I, we were teaching at Grove City High School, or I was teaching there, and I was coaching football and basketball as a young guy. And one of our friends said, "Hey, there's jobs at North Hills High School." And so we both took teaching jobs in the fall of '99 at North Hills High School. And my wife got pregnant in 2001 with my son, Derek. And we were in the community. We were in Avonworth. We bought our house in '99 with no kids. And, we moved. We knew nothing about Avonworth. So we moved in '99. We met some people. And, I came over as a coach to Avonworth in 2001 while teaching at North Hills. So, as a community member, it's been a great community to raise our children in and to live in and to now, be the coach here as the head coach. So it's been a great, 25 years of living in the Avonworth community.
Much like we saw from Clairton and like we almost saw from Central Catholic, the seeds of a championship run, both district and in your case, and in Clairton's case, a state championship run, were born out of kind of heartbreak from 2024. Clairton had that heartbreaking loss in the WPIAL championship game against Fort Cherry. You guys make it all the way to Mechanicsburg, and the gut-wrenching loss to Northwestern Lehigh in overtime in the 3A state title game a year ago. I was talking to Luke Neal. He was our player of the week a couple weeks ago, and he mentioned that it was always in the back of their mind that they wanted another crack at district and state gold, but they also wanted another crack at the Tigers. But do you think that there was extra drive from the players that saw significant action last year that were returning after how 2024 ended?
Yeah, I think so. I think anytime you get a taste of something, you want more of it. That's just human nature. And so to get to that stage and to be on that stage last year and to come as close as we did, it was like, hey, I want more of that. We want to be back there. And that is our ultimate goal. But I'll tell you what, our kids stayed grounded all year. It was not like, they looked ahead. They didn't overlook anybody. They were completely grounded in our effort and our vision. And it was just an enjoyable ride. I think, some people took maybe my comments in the paper the wrong way a couple of weeks ago, but, I always work ahead. I started a file on Northwestern Lehigh about week 6, from watching their YouTube clips and watching some films that you could pull up on the internet. The coach for Hickory just texted me and said, hey, congratulations. I said, yeah, I got to see your game on Thursday night against Grove City in the middle of the season. My son goes to college there, and I'm like, I want to go see Hickory because they're a potential, someone that we might see after Acrisure Stadium. But there was a long road to get there. But, as a coach, I learned probably in my 3rd or 4th year, you can't wait for 1 week to get thoughts and ideas and preparation for this team. I mean, I was watching Amani. I got 4 tapes on Amani starting back in week 1 or 2, knowing that they would be a potential candidate, all the teams that you don't see in your conference. Like I can get Central Valley tape every week. And then, I watch their scrimmage. I watch week 1. You watch your conference opponents because you have access to those. But the other ones you have to kind of, hunt around for and find and take your opportunities as they come.
Yeah. I don't know why they would be controversial, to be honest. I know it's different because of the coach speak, the cliches that we hear all the time. Well, we take it 1 week at a time, but I would imagine most coaches, maybe not to that extent, but most coaches do look at the big picture if they have a team that can go deep.
Well, I guess it's probably just my adrenaline for the game or whatnot. I mean, I'm done for that week by Monday. Monday night, maybe into Tuesday. There's not many changes come Tuesday's practice. So, like, what do you do Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night? But what I do is I work ahead.
Sure.
The week of an opponent. Like I told my wife today, I said, hey, I have no film to prepare for, no charts to write up tonight. I said, it's kind of nice.
You could have watched old podcasts just to get a feel for where I'll be coming here in these questions.
Yeah.
But I think it's refreshing because I would imagine there are other coaches that do that but don't say it, and so don't ever apologize for.
No, I just think they took it like I was overlooking them and preparing it. No, there's every week's a good team. You never underestimate an opponent, so that's for sure.
So you had to feel pretty good coming into this season. Obviously, a lot of talent back on the Antelope squad, and from that great 2024 team. I think, at least as an outsider, we started to take notice that this may be something extremely special with what you guys had going on weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5. Very challenging part of your schedule, non-conference games against Aliquippa and Thomas Jefferson, 2 4A juggernauts. And then Hopewell and Central Valley to open up Western Hills Conference play, another strong season for that conference overall. And you guys took care of business rather impressively. Is that when you started to think, man, we're kind of cooking here on all cylinders?
Yeah, we went out to Aliquippa, and I think we played TJ first. I don't remember exactly. But all those coaches that you just named have the utmost respect for them. Mike does a great job at the Aliquippa. Bill does a great job at TJ. Matt does a great job at Hopewell, and Mark, obviously, at Central Valley. So we were fortunate to come away with victories in each of those. And each of those coaches, we had great conversations before and after the games. And, I guess the biggest thing is, we have some really talented players. I call them superstars or great players. Luke O'Neal's unbelievable. Jaden Jones came on the scene and just lit it up this year. But we were not hiding anybody at any position. And when you look at your depth and who you have on the field on both offense and defense, and you're not hiding anybody, you know that you're confident in all of their abilities. And they're, if someone's not watching the film and say, oh, we can pick on this kid, and that was the first time that I think I've ever really had that. And we can honestly say we weren't hiding anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, not 22 superstars, but just good high school football players that worked hard and bought into what you did. And the end result is what we experienced this year, which was phenomenal.
I heard somebody say in the media, I don't know who, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, since we in the media aren't known for our intelligence. But I heard them say that, oh, this Avonworth team is special because they're so physical. And when I heard that, I thought it was kind of insulting, to be honest with you, because I think the part of the DNA of certain programs, and I could just sit there and rattle off a bunch of them, is while players come and go, talent levels come and go, some teams are competitive, even if they finish third or fourth. They're competitive each and every year, and part of that is just that physical mindset. I have always thought your teams, and even before you became the head coach, that Avonworth kids were tough, and they do rely on playing a physical brand of football. It doesn't mean you can't be, fancy and finesse but am I onto something there, or am I the one that's nuts?
I don't know. I mean, I think, our kids are physical. They buy into what we do. And I think if you put your kids in positions to be successful, they're going to make plays for you. And our kids that we put on the field are, they don't shy away from contact. And like the coach from Northwestern Lehigh said, in the paper and whatnot, they were just more physical than us. They out-physicaled us, and I would say that. We came to play every week this year, and our teams of the past. We've always had physical, tough kids, and that's been a blessing. We have some tough, hard-nosed kids in our communities, and like they say, winning breeds winning. And so that's, the kids are already hungry to get in the weight room. I said, look, we're going to start in January. Relax.
Yeah, take a little bit of break. Enjoy what you accomplish, but you kind of love that attitude of, hey, let's get ready for the fall of 2026, when we will be once again the hunted as two-time WPIAL champs and reigning state champions. Duke Johncour, head coach of Avonworth, kind enough to join us, our WPIAL Week 15 Team of the Week. Defensively, you guys were something special too. And again, the great defenses, no matter what level you're talking about, have the ability. They're physical up front, and they have great athletic ability, speed, if you will, on the second and third levels. And no matter what happens, there's just a swarm of either white jerseys or red jerseys or black jerseys to the football almost every play.
Yeah, we preach that in practice. We need 11 hats to the football. Everyone knows their gap responsibility. They know their job and their assignment, and they know when they make a mistake. The defensive ends will say, well, hey, that run happened because I didn't do this. And that linebacker says, well, I missed that tackle because I did this. So they know the game, they understand the game, and they're usually in the right positions. And if they're not, there's somebody else to come and back them up. So that's a testament to their preparation.
Where does that discipline come from? Because we every week that the Steelers lay an egg, we hear their defensive players saying, we need to stay with our gaps. We need gap integrity, blah, blah, blah. That takes a certain amount of discipline to not bite at something or to stray out of where you're supposed to be. Where does this group get that?
I think just the repetition, Don. We didn't change much all year. We had multiple coverages that we used, but our base front was pretty much the same. Really, the only week where we adjusted things in terms of our scheme and our front was North Catholic, because they were so talented in the passing game, and we gave them a couple of different looks up front where we did some different things. But it's just the consistency. Not much changes. So our Mike Backer stays our Mike Backer, and now throughout the year we had some injuries and had to move some personnel around, but for the most part, just that confidence in what you're doing week in and week out. And you look at your opponent and what they do and how they do it, and you figure out how you need to best defend it. And, it's probably just the confidence from consistency.
I thought you had a great answer. We saw the Neal brothers, Luca and Neal, last year, start thriving and really putting up big numbers in the Wildcat offense right around the start of the WPIAL playoffs, and it continued all the way through the state playoffs. Luca had an incredible game in the loss to Northwestern Lehigh last season. This year we really didn't see much of it until the Imwani Christian championship game, and I thought a quote something like, we know we have a pretty good sports car, but we don't always have to take it out of the garage, and I thought that is a testament to, again, all the weapons that you have offensively, but it also, at this time of year, it was a much fresher Luca this time around.
Yeah, I don't know that he was not fresh. I mean, if you're not fresh and you run for 256 yards, imagine if he would have been, the kid had 36 carries in that game, but we had other options to pursue, and kind of just by necessity last year with some receiver injuries and lack of depth at the receiver position, like in the weather, the passing game just didn't seem to be our forte heading into the playoffs. And so we went with what was working, and I mean, those two kids are special. And I said this year we're going to let Luca do his thing a little bit. And the first time at North Catholic at their place, we ran a one set with him in the Wildcat, and he had like 275 or 80 yards rushing. He could have had yards upon yards in both the passing and the running game. I mean, my philosophy is trying to preserve your kids as much as possible, sometimes to a fault with substituting players maybe a little bit early. We do that to ourselves sometimes, but that's been a philosophy of mine is, don't risk unnecessary injury when you're up 30, 28 points in the fourth quarter. Let your young guys develop, let them get experience in big games, and let them develop as young players as well. And I think that helps us.
And the great coaches, to be honest with you, have that same philosophy. And that's why year after year after year after year, you see some of these teams at the top of the standings or near the top of the standings. Let's talk about a position near and dear to your heart, your quarterback, Carson Bellinger. I think it's a special young man. He had a fantastic season. Again, he had a tremendous career at Avonworth, passed for nearly 2,300 yards this year. And there were points and times, as we just talked about, where he finds himself on the bench as you guys go to a wildly successful Wildcat formation. There's a lot of kids nowadays that would kind of mope and hang their heads in that situation. Perhaps a young Duke Johncour back in the mid 80s would have struggled with that, but he accepted it and thrived when he was out there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we didn't run nearly as much Wildcat stuff this year as we had in years past, but Carson knew, everybody knew. Like, we were at the all-conference banquet, and Mark Lyons said to me, he's like, yeah, we know you have that Wildcat stuff. You haven't even ran it this year. He's like, you haven't even put Pete Bonnet at defensive tackle yet. So it was nice to have those options. And Carson thrived this year. He did everything we asked him to do. He put a ton of hard work in. He organized passing routes with players on their own. They would come up to the field all summer. And his work and his dedication to his craft really paid off. And it really showed with his performance this year. He had an unbelievable senior year. I think he threw for 2,500 or more yards, including the state championship yards.
Yes.
So, right. I mean, and 30-some touchdowns, and I think maybe 4 interceptions total on the year. And
amazing.
My son Derek would tell you the one was my fault yesterday, but I called the concept, and I'll say it was a bad route, so I'll blame it on the receivers coach. But we all worked together on calling the plays. But I'll take that one. I called the play, and we threw a pick on it, so I'll eat that one.
9 of 11, 248 yards in the 3A championship game with the touchdown. Let's talk about the victory over the Tigers. And right out of the chute, Carson goes 53 yards to Jaden Jones. What a start. What a start.
Yeah, we were we were at the hotel in Hershey, and Dan Cuban, my good friend and longtime coach, with me. He helps call the plays, and we sat. We have a set. We hadn't shown it all year. It was double tight ends and two wideouts. We had lost Dimitri Velaceris at the Acrisure game, and so we were down a running back, and we felt like our two guys on the outside would present serious problems. I know, 2 years ago, playing Court Rouse from Beaver, he had the Amari Jackson and the
Right.
Mayo, and they had a running back and a quarterback and two tight ends, and we had to really, really prep and scheme on how to cover them because they were so dynamic on the outside and they could run the ball on the inside. So we were sitting at breakfast just saying, hey, this team hasn't shown a ton of too high, and to two tight ends, we don't think they're going to go too high. And with these two guys on the outside, they're really hard to defend. So I said, if we get single coverage, we're going, I said, what do you want to do? And Dan and I both agreed, and we talked about it, and he had a dream about it the night before. And we knew we were taking a shot on the first play if he wasn't double covered. And so it was written at about 8 a.m. in the hotel lobby that's what we were going to do.
53 yards, putting you guys up. Before we continue, I'm glad you mentioned Dimitri. Let's not forget about him. He had himself an excellent year too, and as you mentioned, banged up in the WPIAL championship game. But again, just another weapon that let's not forget about.
Absolutely, he had a phenomenal year. It was just heartbreaking for him to not be able to finish out the season the way he envisioned it. But he got us to where we were. I mean, just an incredible athlete, incredible kid, selfless, just great attitude, great effort all the time, and had an unbelievable year. And another one that I'll mention too on the injury realm, Bryce Metz, our heart and soul of our defense and the heart and soul of our offense. I mean, he's our H-back. I think he had 1 or 2 carries leading into the Penn Cambria game, and he probably had 8 or 10 in the Penn Cambria game. So he was our starting running back on Saturday. In that double tight end, Luca and Jaden on the outside set. And he starts off the game with 3 bone-crushing tackles. I mean, he's killing it. And then on Penn Cambria's second series, he got rolled up on and had an ankle injury and missed the rest of the game. And so to lose him was just, heartbreaking. Yeah. I mean, he was a two-way player and just an unbelievable player. I mean, he's been our leading tackler for 2 seasons, sophomore and junior year, and just his presence out there is incredible. And to lose him was absolutely heartbreaking. And we were able to rebound and, put some people in positions, and we came out on top in the end. So it was a great victory yesterday, and losing 2 of your guys in critical games and critical parts of the season is tough, but we were able to be resilient. And, our word for the year was perseverance, and persevere through that injury of Bryce yesterday and come out on top.
Again, just another example of how good this team was, the depth stepping in when not just starters, but excellent starters go down in big games, key situations. Talked about the touchdown pass, Bellinger to Jones for 51 yards or 53 yards. They come down with on their drive and they tie the game at 7 apiece, and then that was it. The only points on the board was on that answering touchdown by Braxton Lakatosh. I had asked you before the game, they have a very good quarterback and a strong running game with Lakatosh. Shane Lay is their quarterback, and you guys did a great job on both.
Yeah, we talked about it, and people asked me, what's the key to victory? I said, minimizing the big play and not letting their play action hurt us. And on that drive, we made 2. We had guys right there. They didn't necessarily beat us. We beat ourselves with not eye discipline. Both safeties got beat separately on 2 different pass plays, which was a large part of that drive. And it was just a simple – and their play fakes were excellent. We tried to rep it in practice. You take 1 false step up, and that receiver's 2 yards in front of you, and that's how they got down there and scored. And we committed early on in the week to putting more pressure on this kid. And we had some scheme designed to do that, and it was very effective. And, to have him not be on his game and settled in the pocket, I think was a huge benefit to our success. So we did not want to let him sit back and just, throw the ball all over the yard.
You guys responded to their touchdown. Luke Neal, first of 3 scores on an 8-yard run, and you never trailed again. Up 14-7 after 1, up 24-7 at the half, and then the final 31-7. Some of the numbers mentioned: Carson 9 of 11, 248, and a touchdown. Luca rushes for 123 yards and the 3 touchdowns. And a pretty big game for your 2 star receivers. Luca, 2 catches, 61 yards. He had a triple-digit yardage in the state semifinal game. And Jaden Jones, 7 receptions, 187 yards. Just phenomenal. And you guys close out the season with a perfect record. And by the way, with Twin Valley from District 3 losing in the 4A championship game Friday night, Avonworth, the only undefeated team in the state of Pennsylvania in 2025. That's got a pretty nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty special. I told the boys on Saturday, this is the only time in my career that as the head coach, because the only year we didn't make the playoffs was COVID, so it wasn't like it was a game. We forfeited our last game against Central Valley, and we were denied entrance into the playoffs. But every other season, you end on a loss, because
right.
we've made the playoffs every year, and there's tears of sorrow because you lost your last game. The seniors, it's finality for them, and this was the first time in my career where we did not end our season on a loss. So it was pretty special in that regard. There was a picture in the paper last year of me and Luca and Nico just kind of embraced on the track at Cumberland Valley. And, it was just a surreal moment, just talking to them, sewing into them, praying with them, and telling them how much I appreciated them. And Nico not being able to play, there's just a lot of tears that day, tears of sorrow.
Sure.
And this year, I pulled them both together, and what a different message and different story and different tears, tears of joy. And it was something special to have those moments with those 2 boys last year and this year. Nico's actually coaching with us.
Nice.
So, he's on the sidelines.
Good.
He did an unbelievable job. So he was able to be there when we embraced again this year in a joyous way.
That's awesome. Awesome. I had a wonderful time talking to the brothers, the Neal brothers, last year, and then again a couple weeks ago, getting a chance to talk to Luca. 15-game win streak now. You are only 51 away from the WPIAL and PIAA record held by those Clairton Bears from way back from 2009 to 2012, something ridiculous. So just keep that in mind. You still got a lot of work ahead of you.
No. I mean, the team we beat on Saturday, I told the boys, I said, over the last 3 years, they were 46-1.
Yep.
So now they're 46-2. I mean, that's an incredible 3-year string. They were in the, people, one of my coaches said, hey, Acrissure's our home field. Well, Cumberland Valley is Northwestern's home field. They've been there 3 years in a row. They lost to Bell Vernon, beat us, and then lost to us. So for that program to be there 3 years in a row was saying something for them too.
Yeah. And again, the point you just made about they had won 4 straight District 11 championships, but being from District 7, the biggest district in the state, getting to 4 straight championships. Now, again, you only have 12 more years to get to the championship to tie Aliquippa's record. So I'm trying to, set marks for you, set some high bars.
No. Hey, we're fortunate for everything we've earned and everything we've had. So it's been truly a great run and great ride. So
before I let you go, I'll give you a chance. You can thank anybody and everybody that you want, because again, it takes, we're singing your praises, but it takes a whole lot of people and I'm not just talking about coaches, to have a successful season like you guys had. So I'll give you the floor, and you thank away.
Yeah, I think like my message to the team after the game on Saturday was, threefold. I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ above. I said faith is first. Faith is always first. So I'm thankful to Him every day. I have committed my life to Him when I was 12 years old, and that's how I live my life. So
that's awesome.
That's first and foremost. And then my family, my wife, she puts up with a lot of film watching, a lot of time with me driving to our house up in New York where I remodeled a house, and I'm watching film and she's driving, and I'm preparing for games, and my children too, and my dad. So family second. I just want to thank them. And then the third thing is I just want to thank our community, our community of Avonworth and the people that they are, and the support that we get. Our booster president, Mike Metz, does an unbelievable job. Our booster group is so supportive. We celebrated with them Saturday night at a local establishment at Shenanigans, and it was phenomenal. And the football team, just, those guys and what they put into this program, and their love for each other. And that's what I said to them afterwards: love for above, love for family, and love for this game. So, you hear the adage. My daughter made me a little thing on a wood plaque that's on our mantle. It says faith, family, football. And that's kind of how I live my life. I said, you guys are third in my life, but you chew up that third category pretty heavily in football. Teaching also chews that up. I commit to that and make sure I do a good job there. But football is a big part of, what I do at the school. And, I just want to thank all three of those realms. So it's been a special run, and we have our banquet Thursday night. So we're going to get to celebrate, the community and this team there. So there'll be a good event to, just celebrate our success. So really looking forward to it.
Mm. Awesome. Couldn't have said it better myself. We do want to bring in a special guest here who has. He wants to he wants to thank you as well for you and your staff and your players, and just an incredible season. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bring him in. Yeah.
There you go.
There he is, for Coach Johncour. There he is.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Has nothing to do with faith or family, but he is a little friend of mine here downstairs.
There you go. We'll take it.
So there we go.
I'll always appreciate the accolades from you, Don.
Well, I'm so happy for you. I wish you were at 100% to really have this all soak in, but I'm praying for you. We'll keep you in our prayers.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get this little back thing.
Hey, when I'm seated, I'm fine.
Huh?
When I'm seated, I'm fine. I'm perfectly feeling great right now. But it's when I stand up and move around that it bothers me. So
well, we'll get through it. We need to get you back to normal. We need to get the back to normal.
It'll be here sooner than we know, I'm sure.
Good luck in the in hoops this winter as well.
Yeah, Mike White, your counterpart on the Post Gazette, he was so afraid of me, he moved up to varsity, so I don't get to face him in ninth grade hoops.
No more. That's right. That's right. No, well, he's got visions of grandeur, I guess. Now that he's doing less writing, he can spend more time coaching. So
no, it was always I said that I always told my team, I said if there's one team we have to beat this year, it's North Hills.
Right. North
As
Hills.
a former teacher there and coach there, I coached the girls basketball team there, so it was always a pleasure coaching against Mike, and we've developed a great relationship along the way too. So
he's the best.
Really appreciate him. Yeah, he's great.
Yep. We work for different companies, but we are a very strong bond and are very good friends, and I think the world of them.
Yeah.
As I do you, Duke. Appreciate your time. Congratulations again, and I'm sure we will. Hopefully, we will talk soon.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Don.
All right, Duke Johncour, head coach of the Avonworth Antelopes, perfect 15-0 WPIAL and PIAA champions here in 2025. We thank Coach Johncour for joining us as our team of the week. We thank our friends at Edgar Snyder and Associates, and thanks to Chris Lackner, our producer as well. I'm Don Rebel. Thanks for joining us. Rebel Yell Podcast, Trib Live, High School Sports Network.
Thanks, Don.